Hi, my name is Katherine Dayton. I am the Director of Vision Service Adventures, and every season have the pleasure of speaking with a lot of families about our programs. We also offer this recorded webinar so that you can dig in on your own time. So let's go ahead and get started. I will be covering a broad brushstroke about visions, our history, and what we're all about. Also, some of the primary pillars of the visions experience, daily life on the program, and some of the key participant takeaways. During our live webinars, we also have time for question and answers with participants. These are our 3 locations: the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana, the Dominican Republic, and Peru. So first of all, what are a few things that make Visions unique? And we were one of the original teen service programs that offered service experiences for teenagers in a cross-cultural context. Visions started in 1989, and at that point, there were just a small handful of organizations like ours. Of course, now it's a big industry, and we find that a lot of families have a hard time kind of deciphering some of the differences among the different experiences. So hopefully this will help you to make the right decision. Visions has been working for 34 seasons in Montana and the Dominican Republic and 26 seasons in Peru. We keep a leaders to student ratio of 1 to 4 or 5. Our programs are tech-free. Kids unplug so that they can really plug into everything that's around them during their time on the program. I will say that they love that. Also, it's community building at all levels. This picture, I think, really exemplifies that. This young woman is from the Blackfeet Reservation. She received a scholarship to attend one of our programs when she was in high school, went on to graduate from Dartmouth, and then after graduation, worked for us a couple seasons as a leader. And really, this picture really captures how well-rounded and full-bodied our relationships are with our communities. And then what that means for kids is that they are getting a true cultural experience. Also, deep learning and a lasting impact. So Visions participants don't fit in any single box, of course. They come from all over the country, and then we also get some kids from overseas. But some of the common threads that we see with our kids are that they want to do meaningful work. They want the service to be high impact and that it really makes a difference. They want to have fun in a new culture. Visions is not a teen tour type of program where you might go from location to location and do small projects as you go. We are living in these communities and really participating in local life. A lot of our participants also have social service, maybe environmental interests. They're ready for growth and ready to kind of go out on a limb for that growth. I'll come back to that one as well. And then we're also looking for kids who are team players. If you go to the experience page of our website, there are some of these main elements of the program. I'm going to highlight the 4 main pillars that are true of any Visions experience: the collaborative service, the authentic immersion, adventurous exploration, and the community building. So let's start with service. You will be teaming up with community members for your projects. It's community organizations that choose the projects that we're going to do. Those are projects that they have identified are needed in their community, and they're working with us at the project sites. The man with the bright sleeves in this picture is Santos Ramos. You can read about him on the Dominican Republic page of our website. Santos is there teaching you the ropes on how to do the projects if you go to the DR program. On the Montana Blackfeet program, you are learning how to build from carpenters. We have at least one carpenter who's part of our leader team. You'll be learning how to use hand tools and power tools. We're doing small projects as well as larger projects. And then also with maestros in the Dominican Republic and Peru, maestros is also the word for teacher, but these are the folks who are at the work sites teaching you how to build. In the Dominican Republic, that's often masonry. And in Peru, like this picture, it's adobe construction. This is in the Dominican Republic, where we also get a lot of local kids who come to the work sites. And this particular picture is building a classroom addition at a local school. In addition to the construction projects that I just highlighted, we also do animal welfare and environmental service. This might be trail work, service with animals. This picture is on the Blackfeet Reservation, where we foster puppies throughout the program and then help find homes for them, sometimes with Visions participants who take them home. Also water conservation work, like in Peru, where we work with Quechua indigenous people on irrigation canals that serve as water conservation. And then social service with kids is another type of service that we do. Sometimes we also do social service with elders. This picture is in the Dominican Republic, where we run a youth program for local children. With these different types of service, the construction projects, animal welfare, environmental work, social service, we typically have 3 or 4 different projects going at a time, and you will get to choose your work site each day. There might be a favorite work site that you return to more days than the others, but inevitably you'll also end up just mixing it up. Okay, second pillar of any Visions program is a cultural immersion. And cultural immersion is just an organic part of your experience. It runs through every day that you will be on the Visions program, because the immersion is so true and so authentic. You will be living together as a group of Visions participants and leaders right in the community. In Peru and the Dominican Republic, we rent a house that's part of a local neighborhood. On the Blackfeet Reservation, we live on a conservation ranch that's right outside of town, but then most of our projects take place in town. This also means a lot of local friendships with people who you'll be getting to know at work sites and in the afternoons after work. We have had a lot of Visions participants who have stayed in touch with community members and then gone back to their program site, maybe taken their parents and visited these local friends. Okay, third pillar of any Visions program, adventurous exploration. This particular picture is in Montana, where we go horseback riding with some professional outfitters. In the Dominican Republic, we go to a national park that's on the coast. We spend a long weekend there, and then we also go to the beach on the last day of the program. These are Incan salt mines that still are being used today. This is one of many of the adventures that we do in Peru. And this adventurous exploration takes place on the weekends when we're not working and we carve out time for travel and other excursions. Also in the afternoons after work. So there are a lot of excursions and activities. You can read more about all of those on the different web pages. Community building. This is the fourth main pillar of any Visions program. And of course, this is community building with our local hosts. This particular picture is in Peru, and there's a lot to celebrate as we accomplish all these projects together with our local partners. But it's also community building with our group of peers and leaders. There is a lot of emphasis on an inclusive and healthy group dynamic with Visions, and there's a lot that we do to reinforce that. One thing is that almost all of our participants attend by themselves, and we don't allow more than 2 friends to attend the same program together. We're also not introducing you before the program begins, so leaders will pick each person up at the airport as they arrive, and then we all hit the ground running together. One thing we do to keep this inclusive and healthy group dynamic is having group meetings. And these take place 3 or 4 times a week for an hour, hour and a half at most. This is time that we carve out to reflect on the volunteer and the cultural experience. It's also an opportunity to air any issues that come up, because when you're living and working with a group, we're not all going to have the same perspectives. That's totally fine. But what's important is that we work on our communication skills and work through any of those issues so that we can keep this productive group dynamic. Okay, let's talk about some other elements of any Visions programs. We just covered the 4 pillars of service, immersion, adventurous exploration, and community building. And here are some other aspects of any Visions program. First of all, the home bases. This picture is at the ranch where we live on the Blackfeet Reservation. Home bases are really a terrific way to just settle in. You will unpack. We have bunk rooms, and this really becomes your home away from home. Leaders, of course, live with participants at the home base. I mentioned the 1 to 4 or 5 leader to student ratio that are with the kids. In addition to our leaders, we also have dinner cooks who work with our programs and other project coordinators who are people from the community. Most of our leaders are in their mid-20s to mid-30s. They bring a variety of skills and backgrounds and interests. And one of the common characteristics, of course, of all of our leaders is that they are people who really enjoy working with teenagers. Let's zoom out from these different elements of the program and talk about a typical week in the life of Visions. First of all, you will be choosing your service project typically 4 days a week. And then 1 day a week, you'll be on what's called home base crew. And home base is a really fun day in the life where you'll get up early with a few other kids and a leader, you make breakfast for everyone. And then when everybody else goes to their work sites, the home base crew cleans up our living area, maybe runs errands to local markets to buy food for the next meals, and they do other projects around home base. So regardless of whether you're at a work site or home base, we usually end work around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the afternoons are for all these different cultural and recreation activities. Dinner, we usually have back at home base. And then the evenings are a variety of things. Sometimes it's just time to unwind around a campfire, maybe have a guest speaker, sometimes our group meetings, sometimes an outing. And then the weekends are for these full day excursions, travel, etc. In the Dominican Republic and Peru, we also have 1 day on a weekend, usually, that is for a day stay with local families, and you'll be broken into pairs or groups of 3 for that. Whether you're interested in the DR, Peru, or Montana, you can drill down and read more about a week in the life of the program and the itineraries by going to the itinerary page on any of those programs. This is one of the pages of our website. Let's talk about some of the key takeaways for Visions teens from the Visions experience. And we have been running programs now for almost 4 decades. We continue to hear from people who did the program more than 30 years ago, who are now sending their own teenagers. And the feedback that we got from programs then compared to what we hear now is very similar. It's also not just about the actual experience, but the impact that people take home from their time on a Visions program. So let's cover some of the main themes we hear. Being part of a team and learning life skills. This picture is in Peru on home base crew day, going to a local market to buy food for the next meals. But teamwork is something that flows through every day of your program experience and is really a fun aspect. With that, you're also learning a lot of life skills that you'll be taking home with you. Being present and not having all of those pressures about studying for your upcoming exams, what's on social media, etc. You get to really be present on a Visions program. And a big part of how we do that is by simply unplugging. Improving language skills. If you go to the DR, Peru, that is an awesome opportunity to bolster your Spanish skills. But regardless of the program you go on, you will be working on communication, everything that's required for the teamwork and accomplishing these shared goals on the program. Also, understanding what it's like to walk in someone else's shoes. This is one of our work sites in Peru with Quechua indigenous folks, but we really feel like the best way to understand another culture is to share in service projects. We are not examining another culture where they are kind of the focus of our studies. Instead, we have these shared goals, and you will be accomplishing a lot with these folks from the community. And through that, learning what it's like to walk in their shoes, what their daily lives are like, what the pressures on their lives might be, and what they celebrate. Also, being part of a legacy. The projects that you do with Visions are things that these communities really need, things that live on well after your stay. These pictures are from the Dominican Republic, where there are almost 4,000 Dominican children who go to school every day because of the schools that Visions teens and our local partners have built over the years. The picture on the left is a 3-story school that was built in a very poor neighborhood where local kids simply didn't go to school because there were no schools. And finally, believing in yourself and all that you're capable of through these accomplishments that you also have with the team that you're part of on a Visions program. there will be so many things that you accomplish. I should say about the vision service work that it is definitely not a labor camp. The service work is really well balanced with the adventure, the fun, the cultural immersion, but the service work that we do is very impactful. The work days go quickly because your work is needed. You will be highly engaged throughout every day. You will be seeing kind of how your work is manifesting into things that these communities need. So that's just one of many of the takeaways that you'll have from your experience. All right, this really wraps up our presentation, and thank you for your time. If you would like to see more pictures, we have a lot on the photo galleries of each program page that you can find on our website. You can also go to our social media. This is our Instagram page, and dig in more to some of the images. I should mention that all of these images are from leaders and kids on the program, so you'll really get a good flavor of what your experience will be like. Lastly, in terms of the application process, it is very straightforward. You can go to the apply button on our website. These are the programs that we have available for the summer of 2025. I would recommend applying sooner than later so that you can secure your priority program. But there will be a part that parents can complete that's just contact information. There's also a questionnaire that participants complete. It doesn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes. And then we ask for contact information for 2 references. One should be somebody from school, and the other can also be an educator or another adult that isn't related to the participant. And those are simply forms that we send to those references. We don't need reference letters, and it doesn't take folks more than about 5 minutes to complete those. So, of course, let us know if you have questions about anything that I have presented today or anything else. And we really look forward to being in touch. Thanks so much.